Hi, if you had ever been to a hotel or a restaurant and ordered something and had your lunch or dinner there, and you paid the money and you obtained a bill and you came home and there was food poisoning. Now you went to hospital and you spent some amount of money on medicines and etc. Now where is the agreement between the hotel and the customer? Is it oral or is it written? Now tomorrow if you file a consumer case against the hotel, can the hotel take the plea that there is no written agreement between you and the hotel? The answer to this question is no. There is an agreement. There is an oral agreement between the hotel and the customer. So the oral agreement between the hotel and the customer is valid through the Contract Act under Section 10. So Section 10 of the Contract Act speaks that whenever there are some elements of the contract and which are satisfied. For example, the basic elements, in a simple language I would say, the basic fundamental elements of any agreement will be, there will be one who offers a task. The other person receives the task for acceptance, for a consideration. So fundamentally there will be four elements: offer, acceptance, consideration and a task. Of course, there are ancillary elements like free consent. There should not be any fraud, there should not be any misrepresentation, there should not be any coercion, there should not be any undue influence. These are ancillary, they are implied. If fraud is there, then the main pillars, the four pillars of the contract are thrown into a dustbin. So therefore, if these four elements are there, Section 10 speaks that if these four elements are there, subject to the other ancillary elements also, the contract is valid, the oral contract is valid. It need not be written contract. There are many contracts which are oral. I'll give you one more example. You order something from an Amazon online. There is a written contract here that Amazon is going to deliver the product in a certain time period, etc. There is a consideration, etc. But there is some part as an oral contract also, that is to say, he will deliver the product of good quality. He will deliver the product which has a pending expiry date, that is which is not yet expired. He will deliver a product in working condition. So these are all the elements pertaining to oral contract. There will never be 100% written contract in any agreement. There will be some part which is oral. This is the point which I want to convince you. So now coming to the topic of the video, if there is an unregistered agreement of sale, now law says that agreement of sale for purchase of immovable property must be registered. And in India, 99% transactions are unregistered. Fortunately, the token advance or the earnest money is generally paid by way of an account pay check. And agreement is not registered. I'll tell you the secret why it is not registered. Because in India, majority of the transactions are black transactions. The government price for an immovable property will be around 25 to 30% less than the market price. The market price is written in the sale agreement. So therefore, it is not registered. Now, when law says something and you are not following law, you have to pay the price. There will be effects. Because there are effects only, law made the registration of an agreement of sale compulsory. It depends upon state to state. I am specifically speaking about the state of Telangana. I don't know about your state. You must consult the local registration department for that. Now, the problem is you did not register the agreement of sale. And if you go to court with that unregistered agreement of sale of immobile property, court will admit the contract. Court will admit that there is a transaction between the purchaser and the seller. But court will not accept or admit it for the purpose of registration, of the immobile property. Why? Because it is illegal pertaining to registration of immobile property. It is legal pertaining to the contract between the parties. So that aspect is the oral contract. Registration is the written contract. Hope you are trying to understand. So therefore, the remedy for, though it is a very risky remedy, the remedy for unregistered agreement of sale is to claim. Now it is the burden of the purchaser to prove. It is the burden of the purchaser to bring the witnesses. It is the burden of the purchaser to establish the circumstances, to prove that there is an oral contract between you. If you take this play, provided you make the payment by way of an account pay check, then there could be a chance for getting the property back. If you entered an unregistered agreement of sale with the seller, because the black amount is an issue for both the parties. It is not an issue only for the purchaser. It is more an issue for the vendor, that is the seller. Therefore, seller may not object, but you may get entry into court if you're lucky, if the seller does not dispute that there is a written agreement also. Because generally written agreement is only with the purchaser. It will not be with the seller. Seller will take the money and sign the written agreement, which is generally the original is retained with the purchaser, a copy is retained with the seller. So therefore, if you take the plea of an oral agreement between the seller and the purchaser for a sale of immobile property, there is a chance. It's purely a chance. But law is always there for oral agreements. I have given a Supreme Court judgment in the description box. Kindly go through it. Supreme Court recognized that oral agreement is permissible under law for agreement of sale of immobile property. You have to read section 10, read with section 10 of Contract Act, read with section 54 of Transfer of Property Act, and section 92 of Evidence Act. All these three provisions in three different laws must be read together to understand that an oral agreement and the conditions under which oral agreement is recognized by the law is informed through the Supreme Court interpretation of the subject through the decision in the description box. Thank you. Thanks for watching. If you have any doubts, kindly comment.